Hello, this is Kara again, and I have another video for you today. The reason I have my hair up, which I don't like having my hair up in this way, but I have my hair up so it doesn't get in the mic. Anyway, I have another video for you today. Today I am front facing again. This is like literally like my 5th front facing video in the last like 3 or 4 months. Part of it is that there's been a lot of stuff going on in the world and in YouTube specifically, and it's just like there's just been a lot of things to cover, and I had 2 separate issues that I wanted to cover, and I decided the best thing to do was to do a front-facing video again and just do it all in one quick video. Again, I'm doing it on my cell phone, so it's weird because I see my face here, but I'm supposed to be looking there, so that's a little weird, and I may forget to do that, so I do apologize for that. I have pages and pages of notes for today, so I'm hoping not to leave anything out, and I'm hoping not to forget anything. So without further ado, let's get started. So one thing that I wanted to do is because this channel has gotten so big over the past like 2 years, and not a lot of people went back and saw one of my very early videos. I think it was probably like number 10 or 12 that I uploaded, where I talked about who I am, how I got to adult coloring, what it means to me, and all that other stuff. And that's a much more longer, more in-depth view. But I'm just going to give you a quick overview of some of the things that were in that video to sort of explain some of the questions that I've been getting a lot more lately, especially since I set up the GoFundMe for the production drafting table. So I'm over 35 years old. When I did the video, I was younger, so I said how old I was at the time. I'm not going to do that this time because I'm so old. I'm Garifuna. I wrote that down, which is Black Hispanic, not biracial, 2 totally different things. So Garifuna, long story short, when they brought slave ships over from Africa to America, they didn't all go to America. They went all over. And so Garifuna is Black, you know, African, but not from America. So so there's that. So I am disabled. What I wrote here is disabled, angry Black lesbian, which is funny. And that's, you know, when I was in college, I called myself an angry Black lesbian. I'm far less angry now. Like, I'm happily married. So my anger is much more like, as opposed to the way it was when I was in college. I'm just not as, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, I have been out for 20 years, which is crazy. I came out the same year that The Velvet Rope came out, which I thought was 1997, but I looked it up and I think it's 1998. So I've been out since The Velvet Rope came out by Janet Jackson. That's how long I've been out as a lesbian. I've been crocheting for 20 years. I've been crocheting for 24 years, knitting for 20 years, knitting for 14 years, weaving, spinning, and spinning my own yarn for 6 years. The only reason that that's relevant is because when I started this channel, when I first started this channel, it was originally a spinning, weaving, crochet, knitting channel. And if you go back and you look at my early videos, I think my first video that's still there is me reviewing my spinning wheel. And that goes to show like the evolution of this channel and how I've gone through. But I've been doing coloring videos since July, June of 2015. And like I said before, I started one night in the middle of the night on my floor. It was not originally intended to be a big part of this channel. It was originally intended to only be something that I did that one time, and then I did another one, and then just people, and it just turned into a coloring channel, and I just fell in love with coloring and with art, and so whatever. So we're here 2.5 years later. Let's see. I did talk about this in that video in much more detail. I am a victim of child sexual abuse. I was abused from the time I was 6 until I was 14. I won't go into it here, but it sucks. Long story short, it sucks. And as a result of that, I have like PTSD and depression and all these other problems that make it really difficult for me to have a 9-to-5 job where I'm going out there and I'm meeting people, and I'm like, you know, it's really, really difficult. So I'm not on disability or anything. I'm just, you know, I'm just a housewife, you know, like just chilling. In addition to all of that, when I was 28, I was diagnosed with Dandy Walker hydrocephalus, which I did another whole video on Dandy Walker hydrocephalus, which is a birth defect. And normally people like normally pregnant women find out that their child is going to have Dandy Walker hydrocephalus in the womb before the child is born. It's a brain malformation where you get fluid and stuff in the brain, and it affects the brain development, and it affects, you know, different people differently. A lot of people have a lot of motor skills problems and all sorts of various issues. I do have quite a lot of fluid in my head area, in my brain area, but for, you know, whatever random luck of the draw, even though it's a lot of fluid, you know, a lot of cognitive issues sometimes, like, you know, balance and that sort of thing, that it affects others, but it's an issue for me. So, okay, so then I talked about why I started ColoringKaria in the past, I guess. Also talked about, you know, starting it as a means to answer, like I said, very specific questions that people in specific Facebook groups that I was in had about specific coloring books and colored pencils. And my very first color pencil review and my very first coloring reviews were very much targeted at answering specific questions that people had. Namely, I believe I was the first, if I wasn't the first, I was one of the first to do a media test with the coloring books that I was reviewing to see, does this medium work? Does this coloring book handle markers? How does this coloring book do this? So that was one of the first things that I started doing in this channel. And so it grew out of that. But as well as to give myself like a job, because of the things that I discussed earlier in the video, it's very hard for me to have like a regular 9 to 5. I was earlier on in my adulthood, I was working at a wine shop, and even though I liked it and it was a lot of fun, it was also really hard because of the Dandy Walker. I kept like dropping bottles and it was just like a whole big mess. So in the end, I ended up like needing to find something to be productive member of society and to offer society something. And so that's part of the reason why I started doing it, is to feel like I was contributing something to society, however small it might be. Because certainly I'm not like curing cancer or anything. But I thought that, you know, for the people who like the channel and for the people who watch it, that it would be something of value to them who watch the channel and who like what I do. All right, so that's the answer to that. And then I also wrote why monetize. When I first started the channel, I did not monetize. I did not have the option to monetize. I don't know when the option became open to me, but I believe that I started to monetize and to put ads on my videos around about the time that I had 1,000 subscribers. I could be wrong about the exact date, but it was around about that time. Because that's also when I joined this program, and I forget the name of it now, but it was at the time for people who had 1,000 subscribers. I think it's went up to 5,000 now, and it let people meet up with companies and corporations and get sponsorships and do sponsored videos. And I've done 2 sponsored videos through that program. I didn't mind doing the sponsored videos, but I don't know, it wasn't as much fun for me as doing the talking videos where I'm just talking to you and telling you what I'm feeling and just like going through whatever it is that I'm feeling. So to that end, I really haven't been on there that much, but people can make a lot of money doing that. I remember the 2 videos that I made, I probably made more than I made in Google AdSense for like, you know, 7-8 months. Like that's the kind of money that can be made on there. And a lot of people do a lot of sponsored videos, you know, and that's, you know, that's up to them. I didn't find it to be all of that productive, and it was hard to find companies with whom I matched up. So anyway, so that's the question of, I didn't even answer the question of why I monetize. I just talked to you about how I monetize. Why I monetize, I've talked about it in the past. Basically, the main reason I started is to pay for the expenses of the channel. Let's see, Affordable Colorist, I think is her name. She's done a number of videos where she's talked much more in depth about this. She especially did one, I think it was a live stream recently, where she talked about this. And essentially, it's kind of expensive to do this. It's a choice to do this, and I understand that it's a privilege to do this because not everyone has that, and not everyone has that availability in their life where they have that much expendable income where they can spend the money to start something like this. So I've always been very much aware of the fact that I am coming from a position where I do have the privilege and I do have access to a lot of things that other people don't. And I try to use that as much as I can to help as many people as I can. So for example, like I know that a lot of people don't have the means to get all of the things that I've gotten and that I have gotten to review. I did not have, I talked about the fact that, you know, like I was born poor, you know, I was born in, you know, like whatever. Everybody, you know, not everybody, but a lot of people share that experience. I didn't have my own bed, not my own bedroom. I didn't have my own bed. The first time I had my own bed, I was 14 years old. The first time I had my own bed. So I know what it's like to not have. So I understand that not everybody has. And that's why I try to be very mindful when I ask people for donations, that like not everybody can contribute. And honestly, kind words in the messages, kind words in the comments always means so much to me. So to that end, I then began to monetize just to help pay for the expenses of the channel, because my wife paid for the first year. I believe she paid like basically 90% of everything. The second year it was less. And then this year I'm hoping that, you know, our family pay for as little of the expenses of the channel as possible. It would be great to also have some money to be able to, like, you know, go to Starbucks, you know, whenever I want, and not have to, you know, use money from the household expenses, whatever, especially since I'm not really paying into the household, you know, like this is not paying for bills and stuff. All right. So that's all who I am, what I do. Then it comes to what is Google doing? Why is Google doing it? Right now, as I mentioned, when I first got in, I did not monetize until I had, I think, 1,000 subscribers. I didn't think I could monetize until I had 1,000 subscribers. Then Google changed and I think loosened their requirements for who could monetize. And then in 2007, the end of 2006, going into 2007 and starting, and again in 2008, not 2007, I'm sorry, 2016, 2017, 2018, there's been a lot of stuff in the media, outside the media, that I didn't really talk about in this channel because it's not really relevant to what we do here. But it's been a lot of just like really unsavory things showing up on Google AdSense, and people advertising on like the worst examples where it's like Al Qaeda videos, like just stuff like that. It's just like really, really bad stuff being monetized and earning Google money. So Google changed their requirements again and lifted their requirements again, going back up to, I think they added the 10,000 lifetime views, which when they did that, I had already met that limit. So it didn't really affect me, but it did affect a lot of people. And then most recently, again, in order to address again the issue of those issues, as well as there were other things that were going on that were extremely unsavory. Not only the Al Qaeda type videos, there were a lot of videos of sexualized videos of children. There's a lot of, obviously we all know about the people who upload TV shows and then monetize those, commercially available material, uploading it and then monetizing it, and making way, way, way more money in one video than I made in a year. I mean, just like insane amount of money was going to that. So they needed to address that issue of the people who re-upload not only TV shows, but videos like mine. Like my video has been stolen and re-uploaded multiple times. That has happened to me multiple times on this channel, where I've had content of mine uploaded and somebody sends me a message, and that's the only way I know. And somebody's earning ad revenue on my videos, and they might not be earning a lot of ad revenue for any one individual video, but they do that for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos, and it adds up so much, and they make so much money doing that. So Google needed to address those people and those issues. Google also needed to address, hold on, I can't see, sexualized videos of children, re-uploads. They also ended up in a situation where they needed to police people they shouldn't need to police, like people like Logan Paul. And if you don't know about what that was, it was like, it's one thing if you're recording and you see something and it's shocking and whatever, but you don't need to upload that. That's the part. Anyway, whatever. So then they needed to upload idiots like that who do stuff like that. And they needed to police that sort of. The end result is that people who have done nothing wrong, people who are small channels, people who are struggling, people who are in situations like me where they are working and they're uploading videos and they don't have a lot of fans, but they get a check, Google has this thing now where a lot of people only make they only get $100 check a year. For that person, that might be a lot of money, and they might have worked really hard for that $100, and it might make a difference for them in one way or another. And it's not for other people to say, I've seen videos where it's like, oh, it's just $100 a year, what's the big deal? And it's like, F you. Like, you don't know what people's lives are. You don't know where people are coming from. If that means a lot to that person, then that's valid for that person to have that experience, especially if they've done nothing wrong and they followed the rules and they've maintained good standing and they haven't done anything wrong. I understand the frustration of being penalized, especially when, there's this old thing. I feel like it's from Harry Potter, but I don't quite know. I don't quite remember for sure, where it's like, the young people don't know what it's like to be old, but when old people forget what it's like to be young, that's kind of a problem. And this is a sort of situation where, small channels don't know what it's like to be a big channel, and they don't know that you face new challenges. But big channels, a lot of them, they know what it's like to be starting. And, a lot of big channels have said stuff like, well, when I was coming up, you could monetize at all. And it's like, that's kind of a dick move, because just because stuff was hard for you, and just because you experienced some kind of hardship doesn't mean that it's fair for you to want others to experience that same hardship. Like, whatever. Anyway, so, and I understand that some people are going to be offended by my use of the word hardship for somebody making $200 checks a year or $100 checks a year. I swear I used to get like 3 $100 checks a year, and they made all the difference. They made such a huge difference. Right now I have the Patreon, I have the coffee, which lets you donate like $3 at a time. And then I have the GoFundMe, which will not be up forever, only until we get to the drafting table. By the way, somebody recently made a huge donation. Thank you so much. You're a saint. Anyway, so it's not fair to tell people who are in those sorts of situations that their feelings aren't valid and that their experiences aren't valid. So I'm not going to be the one to tell you to just lift up your bootstraps and stop crying. If you play by the rules and you did nothing wrong and you're being punished because of this situation with some idiot who did terrible things, that's not fair. And I understand that situation. I also understand from the point of an advertiser, if you're advertising Pampers, you don't want your Pampers to show up with, some child porn nastiness that shouldn't be on YouTube in the first place. And I understand that YouTube only has but so many people, and they are hiring new people to try to police the channel, and it's just a mess for everybody, and it's a situation in which there are no winners. And I'm not here to tell you that you're wrong for feeling what you do, and I'm not here to tell you that you shouldn't care about the money, and I'm not here to tell you that bullshit, because it is bullshit. So whatever. So there's that. So like I was saying earlier, I understand that this harms people who don't deserve it, people who have been good, people who have followed the rules, and who are earning money, however small that money may be. They're entitled to that money. And that's one thing that I think Google can help. And that's one thing that I think Google is being insanely wrong about for their own reasons and for their own bookkeeping. And that's that $100 payout limit. I have always thought that $100 payout limit was unfair. It's too big and it's too hard for too many people to make that. And Amazon pays you after $10. Amazon pays you after $10. Patreon pays you after $1. So like, there's no reason for that $100 limit. That's a $100 limit that Google put on themselves for them to make their bookkeeping easier, because they don't want to have to deal with the bookkeeping of paying people more often. That's a business decision, and I knew that business decision when I signed up, and I signed up for it knowing it was unfair and knowing I didn't like it, and I accept that. But at the same time, just because they set up an arbitrarily high payment threshold doesn't mean that other people don't have valid things to say. So that's what I have to say about that. People who are like, oh, it's only $100. First of all, it should be really like $50 or whatever, so that people could get paid more often, especially so that smaller channels who already feel neglected on YouTube. Like, I know what it was like to have 1,000 subscribers, to have 200 subscribers, and you're trying, and you definitely feel neglected. And I have not. I know people who are my size, smaller than me, bigger than me, who put, links to every single video they upload into 15, 20 different Facebook groups. I don't do that. I don't do that because it annoys me. I know people who do stuff where they have a 5-minute video and they will have literally 2 or 3 mid-roll ads in that 5-minute videos. I don't do mid-roll ads. My videos are super long, and not a single one of my videos, as far as I know, has mid-roll ads. If I've done a mid-roll ad, it's probably by mistake because I was playing around with the features, because I do a lot of playing around with stuff to figure out how stuff works. But I don't do like mid-roll ads. I don't do stuff like that. And I know that I'm being punished for it. And I know that I'm making less money because I don't do mid-roll ads. I know that I'm making less money because I think I only have one video that has end-roll ads. I know that that's the situation. And I know that that I'm paying for that. And that's a choice that I'm making for myself. But because I'm making the choice to play by the rules, because I made the choice to block out the most obnoxious ads, is maybe too upsetting for people. Like, because of that, I'm making less money. That's fine, but whatever. Sorry, I got into it, and you know, whatever. So anyway, so I understand that people are getting caught up in the mix, and they shouldn't be, and people are upset, and I think that that's unfair in a lot of ways, and I think that Google is in a situation too, where they sort of have their own problems. Ultimately, what I can say to small channels is, I hope that this change, like other changes, is not forever. And I understand that that doesn't help now, where you were getting checks. And I know some people who are under 1,000 subscribers who are following the rules and who are somehow managing to get a check every month. That's amazing. I'm not doing that. In part because, like I said, I'm not doing mid-roll ads. I'm not doing end-roll ads. I'm doing one ad at the start of the video, and that's it. And because of that, whatever, I'm not getting a check every month. That's my choice, whatever. So I understand that, and I hope that people in those situations, one, I hope that they get the number of subscribers or view hours or whatever it is that they need to make this goal. I am concerned, even though I'm not affected by this change, I am concerned and have always been concerned that at any point Google can change the rules to anything they like, and suddenly I no longer qualify for monetization. That's why I tell you about the Patreon, and even Patreon had its own issues not too long ago, and I didn't talk about it at all on here, but I was concerned about it at the time, and I didn't want to stress you guys out, so I didn't talk about it at the time. So I have I tell people to bookmark my website, to bookmark my Amazon.com website, and all those links are down below. So I understand, how it affects people. I understand that not everybody, because of the nature of their channel, not everybody can do a Patreon or whatever. So in the end, I guess what I'm saying is, I don't think it's fair for smaller channels to get beat up on and to be called crybabies and to be called to just stop doing videos because they are concerned about their $100 check every 6 months. I don't think it's fair that we should all have to suffer because one idiot did something really stupid and uploaded some dead body thing that they knew at the time that they should never have uploaded it and decided to upload it anyway. And I know that there are other issues and other reasons why this is happening, and I don't know what the solution is, but I do know that the solution is not to attack smaller channels who are struggling and who already have it hard enough, and who are already getting caught up in mess that doesn't concern them, and who are already just having a hard time. So if you're a small channel and you're in that situation and you've been feeling attacked, I hear you, and I'm sorry that this is happening and that it's affecting you. And if there was a way I could help, I have always tried to mention small channels when I can, and and support others when I can. So how does this affect ColoringKaria specifically? Right now, nothing. Right now, nothing is changing at ColoringKaria. However, and this is a big thing, Google can change their rules at any time, as I've mentioned earlier. So if something happens that will affect this channel specifically, you'll hear it from me here, and you'll hear it from me first, and you'll hear it from me in the most long-winded way possible. I think that's it. So thank you guys for staying with me throughout all this. I will thank you guys with a video of one of the cats doing something they shouldn't be doing. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. And I promise the next video will definitely be much less down and tragic. All right, bye. No, stay in the box. I wanted you to stay in the box. Damn it, Stewie. This is not what people on YouTube want to see. You should have stayed that wrong box. That's not what I wanted to show people. I wanted to show you in the box. Ah, you're the worst.